Hi and Assalamualaikum. Today, our group will present about roles and challenges of commercial bank in Malaysia. The group members are Aida Madinah binti Awang, Aina Syahira binti Muhammad Azam, Ani Zahira binti Zamri, Siti Zulaika binti Nazman, Devika, anak perempuan Balu, and Sit Suan Cheng.
These are the contents in our report slide. First, introduction. Second, roles of commercial bank. Third, list of commercial bank. Fourth, sources and use of funds. Fifth, challenges due to pandemic COVID-19. Sixth, conclusion. Commercial bank represent a key financial intermediary because they serve all types of surplus and deficit units. They provide deposit accounts to surplus units and also provide loan and debt securities to deficit unit. They have the ability to assess the creditworthiness of deficit unit that apply for loan or issue debt securities, which means they can limit the exposure to credit risk.
Next one is roles of commercial bank. There are 9 roles of commercial bank. The first one is promote capital formation, which means that provide financial resources necessary for economic development. The next one is investment in new enterprise. It means that provide short and medium-term loans to entrepreneurs. The next one is promotion of trade and industry, such as bank draft, check, bill of exchange, and the others has revolutionized both national and international trade. Next, development of agriculture, providing credit for development of agriculture and small-scale industries in rural areas. Next, balanced development of different regions means that transferring surplus capital from developed regions to less developed regions. The sixth one is influencing economic activity. A low rate of interest can encourage investment and raise aggregate demand. Next, implementation of monetary policy that regulates volume of credit through the active cooperation of the banking system. Next, monetization of the economy, reducing the exchange of goods through barter and increase the volume of production of goods. The last one is export promotion sales, making positive contribution in the process of economic development. This is list of commercial banks. We have Alliance Bank Malaysia Berhad, Affin Bank Berhad, M-Bank M Berhad, Bangkok Bank Berhad, Bank of America Malaysia Berhad, Bank of China Malaysia Berhad, Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi UFJ Malaysia Berhad. Next, we have CIMB Bank Berhad, Citibank Berhad, Deutsche Bank Malaysia Berhad, Aeon Bank Berhad, Hong Leong Bank Berhad, HSBC Bank Malaysia Berhad, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Malaysia Berhad. Next, we have JP Morgan Chase Bank Berhad, Malayan Banking Berhad, OCBC Bank Malaysia Berhad, Public Bank Berhad, RHB Bank Berhad, RHB Bank Berhad, Standard Chartered Bank Malaysia Berhad, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation Malaysia Berhad. The last three, we have the Bank of Nova Scotia Berhad, the Royal Bank of Scotland Berhad, and lastly, United Overseas Bank Malaysia Berhad.
Next, let's begin with the uses of funds. The uses of funds section of a business plan must include all the startup costs required as well as the working capital to sustain the business until it becomes a cash flow positive. The startup costs are those costs required to open the business. Working capital is the money it takes to pay the bills, including the labor, until the business is generating sufficient cash to fund itself. A simple table or spreadsheet should be used to show your startup costs. Summarize the costs into major categories like in this table: loans, advances and finances, deposit placement with financial institutions, security held for trading, security held for maturity, security available for sales, statutory deposit with B&M, investment into subsidiary companies, and property, plant and equipment. For the working capital number, look at your cash flow statements. If you had no funding whatsoever, how much money would your business consume before it starts to turn a profit or become cash flow positive? So that's how much working capital your business will need, plus a contingency fund. Next, for the source of funds, now that you have laid out the financial needs of the business, where will that money come from? Ideally, at least some of that will be coming directly from you. Perhaps you'll even include a family and friends round of investment. The balance will be the amount you need to bring in either as loans or outside investment. Like in this table, you'll be getting it from the deposits of customer, deposits and replacements of bank and other financial institution, imbalance due to clients and brokers, and borrowing.
There are 4 challenges of commercial bank that I want to highlight while using e-banking. For the first challenges is transaction security. Since security is the most challenges one for online banking, e-banking must need a high quality of security to protect the personal information account data, because only with person's account they can steal their money. It is therefore imperative for the e-bank to implement measures to safeguard client asset information. For example, a confidential database with firewalls. Any leaks can damage bank image, reputation, and their operation business. So transaction security is still a major issue challenges for online banks and their customers. For the second one is nature of the change environment. Since the year 2000, there is rapid of intelligence technology (IT), which led us to using internet for convenience. Since then, many banks are slowly trying to survive in the new economy with transforming from traditional banks into e-banking. Not to mention that due to change environment of era IT, bank must be constantly reconfigure, renew, or gain organizational capabilities and resources to meet the demands of the dynamic environment to sustain competitive advantage. For the next one is technical issues. Technical issues sometimes what we cannot expect to happen. Only with single technical issues like system crash, lag, or bug can cause a bank to be down for a day, which can involve bank losses million. Besides, it can happen because of massive of e-banking consumer. This will be very worrisome to customer. So the bank should explaining what will happen to account fund if the technical occur to give assurance to the customer. And lastly, traditional banking issues. The general survey findings are that most Malaysian banking customers still patronize the bank branches and find interaction with human tellers as important. However, over 60% of the respondents have internet access at home, and this represents a positive indication for PC-based banking and internet banking in the future. Over the last few months, we have affected by COVID-19, which is a tremendous tragedy from both a health and economic perspective, affecting all in its path and global crisis. The pandemic has caused economy falling. Also, not only change our perspective on life, it also may change the way we bank in the future. During the lockdown, MCO or movement control order, we cannot go out except buying daily necessity. Situation has forced them to use e-banking to buy and shopping online. Therefore, because of huge consumption, people using e-banking, it may give an opportunities to the bank. For example, working at home actually can be more productive. This will create a win-win situation as increasing employee engagement, satisfaction, and work-life balance while bringing significant cost savings to the banks on the other hand.
Now, we go to challenges to late payment, which include credit card charges, outdated mobile experiences, and moratorium period. For credit card charges, it emphasizes for the late payment fee or late charge, which is charged to borrower who misses paying at least their minimum payment by the payment deadline. For moratorium period is the time during a loan term when borrower isn't required to make any repayment. And for outdated mobile experiences, most of commercial banks nowadays have their own mobile application. For credit card charges, Bank Negara Malaysia has tiered rate for credit card, which is known as the tiered interest structure and is based on BNM's credit card interest rate structure. For Tier 1, which is maximum of 50% per annum, those who promptly settle their minimum payment due to 12 consecutive months. For Tier 2, the maximum of 12% per annum, those who promptly settle their minimum payment amount due for at least 10 months in 12-month cycle. For Tier 3, it is for maximum of 18% per annum. What impacts the commercial bank for credit card charges? The bank as creditor needs to hustle on calling the debtor or customer, especially when they have missed more than one payment, or even worse, they will assign the late payers a debt collector to visit them at home or workplace. The banks have to settle their costs in issuing reminders, monitoring the status of accounts, and following up with errant credit card holders. Thus, the late payment charges, it will help the banks to settle their costs incurred. As we know that moratorium period is the time during a loan term when borrower isn't required to make any repayment. It is like a waiting period before which repayment. Normally, the repayment begins after loan is disbursed and payments have to be made every month. In case of current pandemic situation, those who experience loss of employment and income are allowed to extend the moratorium. What impacts the commercial bank for moratorium period? There are still many challenges for banks might cause insufficient funds for the bank's primary function, such as providing loan and investment. Bank also required funds in form of defensive assets and reserves as not to trigger liquidity risks in banking sector. Outdated mobile experiences. As we know that most of commercial banks nowadays have their own mobile application. For issue of late payment, banks' mobile experiences needs to be more fast, easy to use, fully featured, secured, and regularly updated. Since pandemic hit the world, banks need to encounter critical challenges in relocating their channel for customer to easily contact with the bank. For issue of late payment, the banks have to ensure that their mobile application is functioning to ease the customer with their debt or future payment. This is followed by the current situation since the pandemic began with the introduction of social distancing and compliance function.
In conclusion, there are many roles and challenges of commercial bank in Malaysia. Commercial bank have played an important role in the economic sector. They deal with people and their changing demand, whether they are investor, client, policymaker or government bodies. Commercial bank have also acquired many other types of financial service in the recent year. Commercial bank should consider expanding their services, adopting new technologies and partnering with other companies to leverage their strength. For small-sized bank, it is important to increase their size in order to improve their efficiency. And here is the list of references that we use to complete this assignment. That's all from us. Thank you.